I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hack games before, but I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you get to explore the towns in it until I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox. As usual, then left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle. Let's just call him Fat. This is what he wrote, Tom. I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late. And I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. And if you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc, and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Well, that was certainly weird, even though Kyle is my best friend, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that in any way. I looked at the disc, and it looks like any ordinary computer CD-ROM disc, except it had black marker on it written Sonic.Exe. And it was much like Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone. I went up to my room and turned on my computer, then put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game. I was like Kazami's, because like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. Theirs was a split second when I saw the title image turned into something much different, something that I now consider horrifying. Before cutting to black, I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened. The title emblem was rusted and ruined. The CETA 1991 was now instead CETA 666. And the water had turned red, like blood, except it looked hyper-racialist. But the freakiest thing that was in that split-second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding with two glowing red dots staring right at me. And his smile had stretched wider up to the edge of his face. Super creepy. What freaked me out more was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Drab Robotnik. Now I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more. Then, it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red, and the text showed only Hill, Active. The screen faded in, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing, and had Tails start running like you would in any of the classic Sonic games, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing, and had Tails start running like you would in any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that as Tails was running along the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into slow beat tones. I suddenly saw something, and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I never saw him have before, so I had him move along. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw what Sonic was. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like that title image. Thought. There wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black, and the static sound was off. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by Theezy. Mean Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there.
No! Do you want to play with me?
The music changed to that suspenseful droning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. A flying pose his sprite was making look very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic, and he had the black and red eyes again. This time he had the most deranged-looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was getting the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of cheered up myself. But then Sonic appeared. right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next.
You're just slow. Wanna try again, huh?
I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch, or a hack, or some kind of sick twisted joke, or anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the Scrap Brain Zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark reddish cloudy sky. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid just like Tails did. Yes, Shapiro saw as he ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then a maddening laugh came again. And after a few seconds of running, and noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground, I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible is going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this bloodstained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but black screen with text saying,
"You can run!"
Anyway, red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, that high-pitched squealing from the Silent Hill's final boss was playing. Then suddenly Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn, and then punched Sonic. But Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Uncle's. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles, and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds.
So many souls to play with, so little time, would you agree?
I was brought back to the main menu, and this time, the second file box had Knuckles in the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray, his dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. What the hell's just what is going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I couldn't take any more, so I went to Twitter's rant about it. But no one believed me. Then I took a nap, wish I hadn't, because I then began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness, though I was under the light given off by a lamp that hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us," and "Wait, did he give us to him?" and "Run away." Before he gets you, their cries die out as I then heard Sonic laugh. His laugh sounded a lot like the distorted Pekka laugh.
You're a lot fun to play with, kid, just like your friend Kyle. Though he didn't last long, I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. Won't be long now until you join him. And all my other friends, you can run. Kid, you're in my world. Now, just like others.
When he grabbed me, and I saw his bleeding black and red-head, grinning face, I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening, so I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation. When I just left him standing, he turns his head to the left, and then to the right at least twice, and then shrugs at me, as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation, you know, when you've beaten him at the end of a classic Sonic game. Yeah, again. As I lead Robotnik down the stairs and noticed that the walls have gotten darker and more reddish, the red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down another flight of stairs down. And then I heard the horrid Pekka laugh again, and then the music slowly faded until it was quiet as it did. When Robotnik turned more dark red onto the red torches were a black flame. He now looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide. Suddenly Sonic popped out, and the screen showed a scary image. The image showed a hyperrealist of Sonic standing in the darkness, where you can only see his face while his head and torso faded into black. And when I say hyperrealist, I mean like he looked so real you could actually see the lines in his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face, oh God, he had the most horrifying smile I had ever seen. His eyes are wide and black, and once again crying blood, which also looked hyperrealist. And there were two small glowing red dots in those black eyes, staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to the sides of his face like a Cheshire cat, except Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs, much like the worst teeth except more vicious long and somewhat yellowish. I stared at that gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at method face. Then, the screen flickered with red static again, 3 times, and on the red time I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time. It sounded distorted. The demonic heaven went back to the image, but then except this time there was the text again. Oh, it was messed up. But it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I looked at ever.
EM got it!
It was when I read the message while looking at Sonic. When it hit me, I realized right there and then this Sonic was a monster, a pure evil, sadistic, alcoholful, nightmarish, demented monster, and all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are just his little toys. And the game is the very gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed Sonic lunge at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again. This time, much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears. As the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds, it stopped and showed nothing but black screen. Then some text came up.
Ready for on to home.
The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind me, played again 3 times as I looked at that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray, his mustache drooped and had blackened, his glasses broke and blood is coming from them, and he had a mere dad-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they're going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented. And the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one. And then, when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. Literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always as his dog. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me, like whisper.
Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom.
I turned around to see where the voice came from. And what I saw made me scream, sitting on my beat staring right at me. FUA was a Sonic plushie, smiling with bloodstains under its eyes, and not Tama, I'm Ben Shapiro.
Oh, that Ben Shapiro, with the facts logic. Never mind.
Sonic went back into the game world as the computer exploded, killing everyone in the ensuing fire. Now you may be wondering, how am I talking? I am Sonic. I possess Ben Shapiro, and now I'm going to rule the world with facts, logic, and gaming.